Have you ever felt like what you eat, or how you store it, might be affecting your stomach more than you realize? If you've ever struggled with unexplained bloating, discomfort, or even stomach pain after meals, I want you to know that you're not alone. Many seniors face similar challenges, but here's the good news. Often, the solution is simpler than you think. Today, we're going to talk about something surprising yet incredibly important: how storing certain foods together can actually lead to digestive issues. Specifically, we'll focus on oranges and why keeping them away from 3 specific foods could save you from unnecessary stomach pain. It might sound unusual, but trust me, understanding this simple tip can make a big difference in how you feel day to day. Before we dive in, let me share some fascinating science with you. Researchers have found that food interactions, especially when it comes to storage and preparation, can impact digestion and overall gut health. For example, certain combinations of foods can create chemical reactions that may irritate the stomach lining or cause bloating. While these effects are subtle for some people, they can be more pronounced as we age due to changes in our digestive systems. This makes paying attention to how we handle and store our food even more important. In today's video, we're going to uncover why oranges should never be stored near these 3 foods, explore the science behind why it matters, and provide practical tips to help you avoid stomach pain moving forward. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the end because the last tip will surprise you and could make all the difference in your daily comfort. Before we begin, I want to make one thing clear. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. Let's start with the first food you should never store near oranges: milk. Now you might be thinking, milk and oranges? What's the connection? Well, here's the deal. Oranges are highly acidic, thanks to their high concentration of citric acid. When exposed to milk, even indirectly through shared storage spaces, the acid can cause the proteins in milk to curdle. This reaction doesn't just spoil the taste, it can also make the milk harder to digest, potentially leading to stomach discomfort or bloating if consumed. Here's where it gets interesting. A study published in the Journal of Food Chemistry explored how acidic foods like citrus fruits interact with dairy products. The researchers found that even slight exposure to acidic environments altered the structure of milk proteins, making them less digestible for many people. For seniors, whose digestive systems are often slower and more sensitive, this can spell trouble. I'll share a quick story with you. A friend of mine named Margaret used to keep her oranges and milk in the same fruit bowl on the counter. She noticed she often felt bloated or uncomfortable after drinking her morning tea with milk. Once she learned about the potential interaction between oranges and dairy, she started storing them separately. And guess what? Her symptoms disappeared almost immediately. Sometimes it's the little things that make the biggest difference. Now let's talk about why this matters specifically for seniors. As we age, our bodies produce less stomach acid and digestive enzymes, which can make breaking down certain foods more challenging. Foods that are already altered by external factors, like curdled milk, can become even harder to process. By taking steps to prevent these interactions, you're giving your digestive system a much-needed break. You might be wondering, what if I don't drink milk or use dairy products? That's okay. There are still 2 other foods you need to be mindful of when storing oranges. Let's move on to the second item: cucumbers. At first glance, cucumbers seem harmless enough, but there's a reason they shouldn't share space with oranges. Now that we've covered why oranges and milk don't mix, let's move on to the second food you should never store near oranges: cucumbers. Now I know what you might be thinking. Cucumbers? Really? But hear me out, because this is more important than it seems at first glance. Cucumbers are incredibly sensitive to their environment, especially when it comes to temperature and the presence of ethylene gas. Ethylene is a naturally occurring plant hormone that many fruits, including oranges, release as they ripen. While ethylene helps some fruits soften and become sweeter, it can have the opposite effect on vegetables like cucumbers. When exposed to ethylene gas, cucumbers can spoil faster, becoming mushy or developing an unpleasant taste. But here's the kicker: eating spoiled cucumbers or even slightly overripe ones, can irritate your stomach, leading to bloating, cramping, or even diarrhea in some cases. Here's where science comes in. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that ethylene exposure significantly accelerates the degradation of certain vegetables, including cucumbers. This process not only affects texture and flavor, but also alters the nutritional composition of the vegetable, potentially making it harder for your body to digest. For seniors, whose digestive systems are already slower and more delicate, consuming foods that have been compromised by improper storage can cause unnecessary discomfort. Let me share a story with you. A woman named Carol once told me she used to keep her cucumbers and oranges together in the same fruit basket on her kitchen counter. She noticed that her salads often tasted off, and sometimes she'd feel queasy after eating them. Once she learned about the effects of ethylene gas, she started storing her cucumbers in a separate part of the fridge. And just like that, her salads tasted fresher, and her stomach issues disappeared. It was such a small change, but it made a world of difference. Now, some of you might be wondering, what if I don't eat cucumbers often? That's perfectly fine, but there's still one more food pairing you need to be aware of when it comes to oranges. Let's talk about cheese, the third food you should never store near citrus fruits. Cheese, much like milk, is highly sensitive to acidity. When exposed to the citric acid from oranges, even indirectly through shared storage spaces, the texture and flavor of cheese can change dramatically. Not only does this ruin the quality of the cheese, but it can also make it harder to digest. For seniors who enjoy cheese as part of their diet, this can lead to stomach pain, bloating, or indigestion. A study from the International Dairy Journal highlighted how acidic environments can alter the protein structure of cheese, making it less palatable and more difficult for the body to break down. Again, this is particularly problematic for older adults whose digestive systems aren't as robust as they once were. I'll give you another example. A gentleman named Harold used to store his oranges and cheese in the same crisper drawer in his refrigerator. He noticed that his cheese often had an odd tang to it, and that he felt uncomfortably full after eating it. Once he separated the two, the problem went away entirely. He said to me, "It's amazing how something so simple could have such a big impact." Now let's address a common objection. You might be thinking, but I've been storing these foods together for years, and I haven't had any issues. That's great news, but here's the thing. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to subtle changes in food quality. What might not have bothered you in your 40s or 50s could suddenly start causing problems in your 60s or 70s. Prevention is always better than dealing with discomfort later on. Speaking of prevention, let's talk about practical solutions. Storing oranges separately doesn't have to be complicated. Designate a specific spot in your fridge or pantry just for citrus fruits, keeping them away from dairy products, cucumbers, and cheese. If you're short on space, consider using sealed containers or produce bags to minimize cross-contamination. These small adjustments can save you from unnecessary stomach pain and ensure your food stays fresh longer. And here's another tip. Pay attention to how you organize your grocery shopping. Many people toss all their produce into the same bag at the store, which can expose items like cucumbers to ethylene gas before you even get home. To avoid this, ask the cashier to separate your citrus fruits from other produce, or transfer them to different bags once you leave the store. Before we move on, let's recap why separating oranges from these three foods matters so much. Keeping oranges away from milk prevents curdling, which can irritate your stomach. Storing them separately from cucumbers avoids spoilage caused by ethylene gas, ensuring your veggies stay crisp and easy to digest. And finally, distancing oranges from cheese preserves the quality of the cheese while reducing the risk of digestive issues. Each of these steps is simple yet powerful in promoting better gut health. Now that we've covered the science and practical tips behind proper food storage, let's shift our focus to another important aspect of healthy eating: how to overcome challenges that might make these habits harder to adopt. Maybe you're dealing with limited mobility, forgetfulness, or simply resistance to change. Don't worry, we'll explore strategies to help you stay consistent and motivated. Let's dive into how small, mindful actions can add up to big results over time. Now that we've covered the science and practical tips behind keeping oranges away from milk, cucumbers, and cheese, Let's talk about how to make these habits stick, especially when life gets busy or challenging. I know that adopting new routines isn't always easy, especially as we age. Maybe you're dealing with limited mobility, forgetfulness, or simply resistance to change. But here's the truth. Small, consistent actions can lead to big improvements in your health and comfort over time. Let me share a story with you. A man named Paul once told me he struggled to keep up with proper food storage because his memory wasn't as sharp as it used to be. He'd often forget which foods needed to be separated and ended up feeling frustrated when his stomach acted up after meals. Then he came up with a simple solution: sticky notes. He labeled his fridge drawers and pantry shelves with reminders like "No oranges here" and "Keep cucumbers separate." It might sound basic, but it worked wonders for him. Within weeks, he noticed fewer digestive issues and felt more confident in the kitchen. That's just one example of how small adjustments can make a big difference. If sticky notes aren't your thing, consider using clear containers or color-coded bins to organize your groceries. For instance, store all citrus fruits in a green bin, dairy products in a blue bin, and vegetables like cucumbers in a yellow bin. This visual cue makes it easier to remember what goes where without needing to think too hard about it. Now, some of you might be wondering, what if I live alone or don't have someone to remind me? That's okay. There are plenty of tools and strategies to help you stay on track. For example, setting reminders on your phone or using a grocery list app can ensure you don't accidentally mix incompatible foods while shopping. You could also enlist the help of a family member, friend, or caregiver to double-check your setup every now and then. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about making progress. But here's something else to consider. Staying motivated isn't just about convenience, it's also about mindset. Many seniors assume that aging means they have to accept discomfort or inconvenience as part of life. However, research shows that maintaining healthy habits, even small ones, can significantly improve quality of life as we grow older. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that individuals who adopted mindful eating practices reported better digestion, reduced bloating, and improved overall well-being. These benefits aren't just physical, they're emotional too. Feeling good after meals boosts confidence and encourages you to take charge of your health. Let's talk about another challenge many seniors face: pain or fatigue. Preparing and storing food properly might feel like extra work when you're already tired or dealing with joint pain. The key is finding ways to simplify the process. For example, invest in lightweight, ergonomic storage containers that are easy to handle. If bending down to reach lower shelves is difficult, try rearranging your pantry so frequently used items are at eye level. And don't underestimate the power of meal prepping. Washing, cutting, and storing produce ahead of time reduces the need for daily effort. I'll share an inspiring example. A woman named Susan didn't start paying attention to food storage until her doctor suggested it might be contributing to her frequent stomach aches. At first, she resisted the idea, thinking it would be too much trouble. But then she realized she didn't have to overhaul everything overnight. She started by focusing on one habit at a time, first separating her oranges from milk, then moving on to cucumbers and cheese. Over time, these small changes added up, and she noticed a significant improvement in her digestion and energy levels. She said to me, "It wasn't about doing everything perfectly. It was about taking one step at a time and trusting the process." Now let's shift our focus to the bigger picture: nutrition and its impact on long-term well-being. Proper food storage is just one piece of the puzzle. As we age, our bodies require nutrient-dense foods to function optimally, and avoiding unnecessary digestive stress plays a crucial role in maximizing nutrient absorption. For example, studies suggest that consuming fresh, unspoiled fruits and vegetables supports gut health, strengthens immunity, and even improves mood. By taking steps to protect your food quality, like keeping oranges away from incompatible foods, you're giving your body the best chance to thrive. And here's a powerful fact to leave you with. Experts like Dr. Michael Greger emphasize that diet and lifestyle choices can significantly reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. While genetics play a role, the majority of our health outcomes are shaped by the decisions we make every day. Something as seemingly minor as organizing your fridge can ripple outward, influencing how you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. Before we wrap up, I want to encourage you to reflect on your own habits. Are there areas where you could make small improvements? Maybe it's reorganizing your pantry, setting a reminder to check expiration dates, or simply paying closer attention to how different foods interact. Every step counts, no matter how small. Now that you have all these tools and insights, let's wrap things up with some final words of motivation and a simple challenge you can start today. Because at the end of the day, aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in smarter, more intentional ways. Now that we've explored the importance of keeping oranges away from milk, cucumbers, and cheese, and discussed how small changes in food storage can lead to big improvements in your health, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. These tips might seem simple, but they're incredibly powerful when it comes to supporting your digestive system, reducing discomfort, and improving your overall well-being. Let's recap why these habits matter so much. Storing oranges separately from milk prevents curdling, which can irritate your stomach and make digestion harder. Keeping them away from cucumbers avoids spoilage caused by ethylene gas, ensuring your vegetables stay fresh and easy to digest. And finally, distancing oranges from cheese helps preserve the quality of the cheese while minimizing the risk of bloating or indigestion. Each of these steps is straightforward yet impactful, especially for seniors whose bodies are more sensitive to subtle changes in food quality. But here's the thing, knowledge is only useful when it's put into action. You don't need to overhaul your entire kitchen setup overnight. Start small. Maybe it's designating a specific drawer for citrus fruits, or using sticky notes as reminders. Over time, these little adjustments become second nature, creating habits that support your health without requiring much extra effort. Remember, consistency is key. Even minor improvements, like organizing your fridge or meal prepping, can add up to significant benefits over time. I want to leave you with a story that illustrates just how transformative mindful eating and storage habits can be. A woman named Evelyn once told me she decided to prioritize better food practices after years of ignoring potential triggers for her stomach issues. She started by separating her oranges from other foods, then moved on to labeling her pantry and planning meals ahead of time. Within months, she noticed fewer instances of bloating and discomfort, and beyond that, she felt more energized and confident in her ability to care for herself. She said to me, "It wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. I realized I had more control over my health than I thought." Now, some of you might still be thinking, what if I slip up or forget? That's okay. Life happens, and no one expects you to get it right every single time. The goal isn't perfection, it's improvement. If you accidentally mix incompatible foods, simply adjust next time. Progress takes patience, and every step forward counts. Let's talk about mindset for a moment. As we age, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, it's too late for me to make a difference. But science shows us that it's never too late to start making healthier choices. A study published in The Lancet found that adopting even one new healthy habit later in life, like improving food storage practices, can enhance longevity and quality of life. So whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, every positive step you take matters. Another important aspect of aging well is staying socially engaged. Did you know that loneliness can have a profound impact on both mental and physical health? Studies suggest that maintaining strong social connections reduces the risk of depression, anxiety, and even chronic diseases. While we've been talking about food storage today, don't forget to nourish your relationships too. Share these tips with a friend or family member, or invite someone over for a meal where you showcase your newly organized kitchen. These moments of connection are just as vital as the habits themselves. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these tips resonated most with you? Are there any changes you're excited to try first? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your thoughts might inspire others who are looking for ideas. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tips on healthy aging. Sharing this video with a loved one could also be a wonderful way to spread the message of vitality and self-care. Finally, I want to remind you of something important. Aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in smarter, more intentional ways. Every day is a new opportunity to nourish your body, nurture your mind, and connect with the people and activities that bring you joy. Whether it's through organizing your fridge, preparing nutrient-dense meals, or simply smiling at someone you love, you have the power to shape your own journey. So here's to living your best life at any age, and to embracing the small, meaningful steps that lead to big results. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and remember, small actions lead to lasting change. Here's to your health.